with a belated Venus wisdom, but it's not for a Venus day because it's a Saturn day already. And it's just this episode is inspired by a question that I got in one of the Facebook groups in my local community about relationships, and it's a synastry question. And so I was thinking to bring a very easy tip for people who do know the signs and to some degree the rulership and the houses. So synastry is basically you take one chart of a person and then the chart of the other person or talisman, object, event, anything that has a chart, basically. But for this particular episode, we're talking relationships, and what we do with these synastries is we check how do people relate. And I want to give you one tip that if you see it is kind of like, there can be something here. If you don't see it, then it's not a red flag in the sense that something bad is going to happen to you, but more like, hey, they might not bring something into your houses that govern long-term connection or romance or whatever it is that you want. So without further ado, how to know if there is potential for something more with the person that you are dating or have a crush on or whatnot. And so you take, well, you're gonna have to get to know this person a bit because you take two charts, okay? You're gonna need their chart for that, which is always a tricky thing with relationships because, hey, with dating, you still don't know the person. But if you're open to just ask because you're interested in that, then you can do it yourself. And so you can take your chart, you can take the other person's chart if they're into it. And what you need to check is for each of you, okay? Do you bring planets that are the personal planets? So Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and to some degree Jupiter and Saturn. Do you bring any of those to the other person's seventh house, which means partnership, fifth house, which means romance? Fifth house does not give you longevity for relationship in itself. Okay, it is very important. You may have a baby together, but you might not get married. So that's fifth house. And fourth house, which basically means the home that you are building. So fifth house is relationship, partnership, for those who are married and marriage. And fourth house is the home that you are living in. It's like living together kind of a thing. You don't really have to live together in order to be a partner with someone. I hope you understand that. Even if you do have kids. Anyway, the people who, because you can have like a home together with someone, but you're not partners. Okay, those are, it's not just black or white. And so what you need to see is, do you have any of the planets in their seventh house? You're going to need the ascendant, so you're going to need pretty accurate birth time. If you bring that, then it means that they see you as a partner. But you also need to check, do they bring stuff to your seventh house if it's partnership, fifth house if it's romance. Okay, so preferably some connection between seventh and fifth is good for natal charts. Or fourth, that is actually like living together. So if they bring planet to your first house, it kind of means that, especially if it's like Venus or Mars, or one of the luminaries even, then it basically means that they like your physicality and maybe your path in life, which is always good, especially if you have like a double whammy, if it's mutual. And that is something you need to see, because if you don't have that, for example, you could be bringing a couple of planets to somebody's fifth house. So they are very passionate for you, but they see you as a vacation. They see you not as a commitment, but as a vacation. Maybe you even meet on a not vacation or something that you do for leisure time or a hobby, and then you meet this person and you really have an easygoing connection, but you want to take it to like the next level. It doesn't go up because they bring planets to your fifth house, or you bring planets to the fifth house, but not to the seventh. Okay? Um, and if you and when you don't have that, then you need to pay attention, because you can have something really nice and cool, but if you want more than that, then you really need another person who will bring that into your relation. Granted that you're not in arranged marriage, you really need that person to bring those stuff into the seven. They only have one natal chart. You can't with that, okay? Unless you want to be continuing to do magic all your lives together, which is not impossible. I know, you know, I know people that are relationship coaches, and literally they began to just date each other, and they said, okay, we're going to try to say we are in a relationship and act like it, and that's it. Like, I haven't seen charts, I haven't seen anything, but there are many, many weird cases and there are many weird solutions. However, you don't want to be doing like you don't want to be doing magic all your life for to sustain that which doesn't naturally fit. Um, so if they don't bring something to the seventh, it's or something that connects with the ruler of the seventh, which is more complicated. You need rulership for that. Okay. But if they don't connect with that, or if you don't bring something to their seventh, they don't, they click with you, but not in the way of building a life with you. If it's the other way around, then you don't see them as more than a romance. They can be the other case too. They can be that you bring a lot to each other's seventh house, but let's say you bring Saturn to somebody's fifth house. And Saturn is about delay, is about rest, is about dedication. But the fifth house is where we want to have a good time. It's where we just want to enjoy our lives and not think so much, right? So let's say you bring Saturn to somebody's fifth house. They might see you as a partner, okay? Or somebody that they could cooperate with, but it might be more business-like. It might be that they don't see you as this romantic partner that they have good time with. Then what can happen if you force this to stay as like marriage, then people can cheat, okay? Because you bring restriction to their fifth house. And so they're restricted with you. So if they meet someone they are not restricted with, they're gonna either want to cheat or, something like that. I'm not saying it's not resolvable, but it's something you need to be aware of. Or if they bring something like that into your fifth house, or if they don't bring anything into your fifth house and they don't connect with your fifth house ruler, then you can think of yourself as, wow, this is a person I could totally share my life with, but I don't enjoy, it's not like I enjoy being with them. It's like we get along as partners, but we don't have the jovial spirit that kind of connects us together like children. Um, so, yeah. As for the fourth house, like I said, if you don't bring anything to your fourth house, it can simply mean that you don't live together, or you don't desire to live together. You need some space between, you know, um, between yourselves, and it's nothing bad. Even couples that have, so many couples divorce, right? And when you divorce, you usually eventually live separately. Okay, so if you, to begin with, don't want to share a house with someone, it shouldn't be a blockage to have kids if you do want them together. Again, this is something that people need to know. I know housing now is crazy, but it's also about well-being, like setting intention and understanding what is the desired situation. So you don't have to have them bringing something to your fourth house. If they do, it's going to be much more familial to live together. They're also going to bring up the issues that are from your upbringing, and so sometimes that's good, sometimes a mixture of both. um, but fourth house is basically the home that you build together. Now, if they bring that to your fourth house, you kind of feel like this person is a home to you. And if you don't bring to their fourth house anything, it kind of goes one way. Okay? They bring something to your fourth, you want to live with them, but in the same home, but you don't bring anything to their fourth. So, they don't feel the same way in terms of housing or in terms of building a family together or something like that. If we look at it, why is Synastry so good? Because if you look at it not as profiling people, but as a connection, okay, what do two or more bring to the table? How does that work together? Okay, it's a simple graph that can show you. And if you actually like somebody, okay, then you want them to have a good life. And you can easily let go, or sometimes more difficult if you already gotten to know them, let go and manifest or ask for something that is. And when you have this graphically, you don't blame a person. Okay, it's not that they are commitment phobic, that they can't make something out of their life. It's like you too don't have that in that particular way. Don't decide for people. I know people, even astrologers, even colleagues that have very kind of their own way into married life, in their own space and their own thing. And if somebody would have looked at their chart, it would be like, oh, this is not a person who likes commitment. It's not, and they are parents. Okay, it's not necessarily easy, but we are not the judge of what the person will have in their life. What we can do is look at the synastry, okay, and later at the composite, and understand, do we even bring those things to each other? And if you have two grown people who've seen the synastry, who've seen where the problems are at, and kind of like, okay, I still want to make it work in my life. I still want to see if that can be something that we can play with and make it work. Then it's time for remediation. Then it's time for doing something, but now you're already together trying to make something work that might work and might not. So that is my very basic tip. It's just one tip, one of many, many things that we look at when we look at synastries, that you can absolutely do yourself. If you feel uncomfortable about asking somebody about charts, granted that you're watching this video, then you are interested in astrology. You are going to check those things. You do care about these things. Okay, this is the person you're about to sleep with, and not as a one-night stand. Talk. Ask. Bring it up. Okay, it's like, this is like, if you're genuinely dating seriously, bring it up. If you're just looking for romance, that might give you an answer for, hey, you just don't bring anything to their fifth, or you bring Saturn. Okay, it's like, okay, they don't really feel jovial around you. Okay, nobody is to blame. Pick another one. But if you're trying for more than that, like, this is the person you're going to share a life with, fucking talk. And if you can't, this is a red flag. Anyway, bye-bye.